And in this play, he's man-to-man on Conklin right here. Let's watch. So right off the jump, there's a few things. One, um, he's a yard off. He's in press coverage. Um, he's in press coverage here, and obviously he's not going to be really heads up to inside because the backer's there, so he kind of has to be outside leverage, but we're fine with it. Even regardless, it doesn't really matter. Plays with good balance here. He comes off the ball, short choppy steps in a back pedal. You'd still see he has some forward lean, which is a good thing in this instance. You don't want to get on your heels, which he's not. Conklin breaks to the inside. Clark matches the break well, gets a hand on while staying square to the line of scrimmage, completely rides out that stem, and then matches the break. That's a good play right off the jump in terms of man coverage on a tight end who's actually a pretty good route runner. It's not necessarily the best route he's ever run or ran in the world, but Chuck Clark does a really good job just staying patient with his feet in this soft press coverage right here. So we like that. We like him getting hands on. We like him riding out the stem right there. And obviously the ball goes the other way, but it's still a good play by Clark. Clark's smart man, third versus Conk. Okay. So he's right here in man coverage on Conklin. Now, the reason being that I'm saying this is smart coverage is because it's third down, right? It's third down. It's most likely pretty early in the game, in this case, and he doesn't have to play press right here, right? He's playing off 8-ish yards. Why? Because he's guarding the sticks. He doesn't have to go up in his face. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but especially when there's some traffic, when you have three receivers here, when you're playing, if he's going to play tight here, creates some more risk of guys running into each other, rub routes, etc. So good idea playing off in general here, and he's just super patient, super patient. Even when Conklin is starting to close ground vertically, he stays square right over the top of it, reacts to the outside break, takes an angle to cut off where he's going, not to where he is, gets hands on, gets his eyes back to the backfield. Again, these aren't plays you're gonna put up on Twitter and be like, oh my God, this is so sexy, but it's a good play just in terms of staying very, very patient and guarding those sticks. So we like that play from Clark there as well. This is a player who I feel like typically I'm the wet blanket, where it's people like this guy more than they should, or this guy, that guy. Clark's one of those guys in this offseason he's one of my favorite moves. And we'll see throughout the review why I like this player. But it's something he's not really getting talked about a lot, but I enjoy his play. Clark forced fumble on Hall. We see him right here, as big arrow would indicate. And there's a legitimate and I hate the whole PFF. Oh, we played in the slot because people assume slot. That just casual fan sees. Oh, he played slot 284 reps. It's like, oh, well, he's a slot corner. It's no, he could be a linebacker in a cover three. It could be a safety, or it could be so many different things. So I hate the whole slot thing. But he legitimately plays linebacker sometimes, where he's in hook the curls, hooks. I don't know if he did any Tampa twos, but he played pseudo linebacker quite often for the Ravens. So let's watch here on this play. Okay. So this is just a smart veteran play. Obviously, he's in that looks like they're going to be in a cover. Yeah, they're in a cover three here. So he's going to be in that hook to curl right there. Now it always gets a little bit sketchy in terms of talking about man match versus just zone dropping. Because I don't know exactly what the Ravens teach. The one thing I would say here is I want him to be cognizant of Uzama here. Now, obviously, he's following the eyes of Joe Flacco. That's what takes him back to the middle of the field there, or at least stops him. But I would like to see him get hands on here and not drift underneath of him, because let's say if it was a scramble drill or whatever it may be, and he gets vertical, then he's behind you. So I just want to see him match up a little bit better there. But nonetheless, you have Flacco who knocks or who checks the ball down. Clark obviously follows the ball. He sees Breece Hall is trying to regain his balance. Breece in this instance does not have good ball security, as the ball is kind of being held out a little bit loosey goosey. Now it gets back into his chest area, but it's still not tucked into the elbow, so he doesn't have the best. At least it doesn't look like it's tucked into the elbow. It doesn't have the best 3 points of contact there for the ball. Clark notices that. You can see a very deliberate punch to that ball. Punches the shit out of it, fumble. Hell of a play by him, just in terms of that recognition. Now, in terms of being that guy to punch the ball out, you typically want to be the second guy there and have the guy mostly already wrapped up. When he's off balance like that, okay, it's a little bit it's much more understandable. So Clark, linebacker, rally and get depth. Okay. He is right here. My cursor. Obviously you can see my cursor. So he's right here. Let's watch. Yeah. It's a good play. It's a good play from from Clark just knowing his assignment. Again, he's in a hook zone. Looks like this is a six play. So he's in a hook the curl, but okay, you have two tighter receivers, right? You have two tighter receivers, and the Jets ran a lot of this spin concept where they sit it down. This could be an option route, and then this is a dig over the top of it. And with that being said, once he sits it down, I'm gonna see if he looks. Yeah, I think I can't tell if he 100% sees the inside break with his peripheral vision, but he knows when this route is being sat down like that more to the outside that this defender, because he's in that curl flat, is gonna sit down on that, and even if this is vertical, it's gonna be passed off, and if it's inside, it's gonna be his deal. So he just a good understanding of the defense. Okay, this is gonna get matched. I'm going to gain some depth now. If we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, he saw him as peripheral, he gained depth. That's awesome. But even if not, just a good job passing off the routes, following Flacco's eyes, and getting depth to cut off the route behind him. So it's a play that doesn't look sexy, but it's very just fundamentally sound, and it's a good understanding of the defense. And that's the shit that matters. That's the shit that matters than being fancy. So Clark stuff sneak. Yeah, the Jets running I don't know if this is third in inches or fourth in inches, but you're running a sneak into this look. It's not necessarily the best idea unless you have an athletic quarterback who could step laterally and penetrate, through one of the B gaps, maybe even the C gaps. But flat's not Flacco. So you have Clark who's heads up on the center, times the snap, jumps over the line, grabs Flacco and starts the tackle process, and the Jets are short of the line. It's hell of a job just timing the snap, right? And just being athletic and jumping over the line. There's really not much more to it. That's just a football play. That's just instincts. That's just good snap timing. So good play by Clark. Clark late, eyes on quarterback. Okay. He's right here, I believe. So now we have him in some deeper coverage roles in a cover two. And this is something we don't want to see. This is where some concerns come out about the deep coverage, right? Like this is not a good deep coverage play. In terms of you have one threat to and obviously this could be a threat as well, but you have to stay wide enough and at least read this. And if this is going to be okay, a curl or a comeback or a dig, then you could drop off it and you could cheat a little bit to the side, but you have to stay leveraged and at least be able to play this. He's drifting to the inside, which we don't want. So he's already out leveraged to the sideline. And it seems like he's staring at the quarterback the entire time. He angles his hips off. It's gonna be really hard for him to react to this. The corner's in a bad spot because he's in kind of that no man's land, not deep enough to take this, and he has to rally and make the tackle here. So he's occupied by the flat. We'd like to see it's first down. I was gonna say if it's a later down, third down, he should gain depth and rally and make the tackle, but he's in a tough spot. He's passing off to Clark because he trusts Clark to get there, especially when you really only have one vertical threat, at least at this very moment, where 15 could be a vertical threat farther on, but you got to read this one first. Get a little bit more heads up on him. Don't flip your hips. If he's underneath and you have to rally and get to it, then get to it. But he's too far inside leveraged. His hips are angled off to the inside. Then he's staring at the quarterback instead of kind of seeing that he's drifting too far inside of the route. And it actually looks like he looks at the route at first. Actually, looks like he looks at the route at first. Then he looks back at the quarterback. But I don't know if he ever sees that I think I don't know if it's Peters drops off or not, but can't get out leverage like that, right? That's a gimme. That's a gimme deep route on a corner. That's really your only assignment. I'm not saying 15 wouldn't be if he continued to go vertical, or this receiver took it a little bit more in depth. That's a different that's something he has to be cognizant of as well. But when you have a high low here, you have to realize that this corner is going to be in a tough spot. He's going to trust you to play that vertical route. So not the best deep coverage from Clark on that play. Clark, brain fart TD allowed. He's right here on the bottom. So he gets what's looking like they're trying to run. It's either like almost like an inverted six, or a three where he's supposed to get more to the middle. A little bit interesting, or yeah, interesting from the defense right there. And we have Clark, who is at this point right here. Touchdown. Now, listen, this is something that you're not really going to see happen too much, because this is an anomaly. You really don't see this a lot in football, but he's right here and he thinks that the offensive player steps out of bounds right there, but he was not out of bounds, and Clark should just tap him up just in case anyway. He has a brain fart. That's a touchdown allowed. Obviously not ideal, but I don't think that's going to happen again, next year, or the next few years. Something to note though. Clark TD allowed, eyes inside. Okay, let's watch. I don't know who we're watching yet, but we'll see. Yeah, so he's deep right here, and this is where you start to talk about him in deep coverage, where I don't like him nearly as much. Looks like we have a cover six, and he's in the two man, or he's in the cover two part of it. So for him, yes, he has to be aware of this side at a certain point, but his primary reads are on the side he's aligned to. He has to cover against anything deep here, and we could see Clark's eyes, or watch Clark's head, watch his eyes. They're inside. I think he might peek to the routes right there, but right now they're definitely inside. They're not looking at anything over here. They continue to stay inside. He doesn't get enough depth, and now the corner right here is passing it off to Clark, because he's playing curl to flat, and he's gonna jump this and pass off the more vertical route to Clark, which Clark is supposed to be there. His eyes are inside, and you can peek around. Like, you could look at the quarterback, you could look at your route concept, you could look at the other side. But when you're looking, you're not sure if it's going to be vertical here. You have to at least gain some depth, right? You can't get flat footed, and when you're not sure if the vertical's over the top. Catch T allowed. Clark deep coverage stem. He's right here. I don't know what I'm talking about with the stem, but we'll see. Yeah, that's a good like he's capable in deep cover. He's not incapable. I don't think he's the best mover. I don't think he's the best rangy guy. And there are some mental lapses that we're seeing in deep coverage that I've showed you at least a time or two in this review. I'm still taking him all day over Jordan Whitehead. Deep. Actually, let me just I'll do the next play. But here he has the stem, or the vertical stem from the tight end. The only passing threat to his side. Clark squares it up, gets into a nice backpedal. Again, slightly angling off to the outside. I think he feels that, okay, he's taking me vertical. There's a lot of room to my left, not necessarily a ton of room to my right in terms of traffic. He's probably going to break to the outside, and just based on alignment, especially if he pairs reading that with Russell. So I didn't even notice this. I'm sure I didn't notice this the first time. This could just be, okay, on alignment, there's a lot of room to the outside. He may be going to the outside here, or it could be a combination of him reading the stem while also looking at Russell Wilson, and Wilson play actions, and there's like a half rollout to the right side. Okay, if he's rolling out to the right side, where's the tight end most likely going? To that side. Again, stays over top of it well, sees the break. He breaks as well, takes an angle to the upfield shoulder, and cuts the route off, and does a good job of matching that stem vertically. We have Clark shed tackle, a little snow action. I really want to go to a game in MetLife when it's snowing out. I really do. But okay, he's seeing zone steps. He mirrors their steps.